What are the 5 most common regrets that we hear from retired federal employees? I'm JT, and this is all about FERS. The first one is perception versus reality. Now, what I mean by that is that you've been working your entire career, maybe 30 years plus, thinking about retirement, dreaming about retirement, and setting goals, and now it's finally here. But we forget about the reality. Maybe you have big goals and plans to travel, spend more time with family, but what does your day to day look like? When was the last time you spent 24/7 with your spouse? We spend weekends and things, but during the week, we're at work and we come home and we're really only together for a few hours. Is your spouse ready for you to retire? What's your plan? How are you going to fill your time? These are some things that we need to think about because especially federal employees can retire so young, as early as age 57, and special provisions can retire even earlier than that. You still have a lot of life to live and a lot of things that you can get done. And so how do you want to spend your day to day, not just the big fun retirement goals? The second one is understanding your benefits and knowing the rules. One big thing here is keeping your own records. Gather all your SF50s, all of them. I know it's a lot, but we want to gather up and have your own record of all of your SF50s and your LESs. You want to have the certified summary of federal service. That's form SF3107-1. But we want to have those in our own records. If we end up having a problem with OPM, we need to push back on them a little bit. If we don't have our own records and we don't know what was actually sent to OPM, it makes that process so much harder. We've seen a few cases where if the federal employee just had their own records, we could have overcome a lot of their problems much easier. So kind of along those same lines, following the rules. What I mean by that is knowing the requirements to retire. That's their MRA in 30, age 56 to 57, somewhere in there with 30 years of experience, age 60 and 20, 62 and 5 years, knowing what a postponed retirement looks like versus a deferred retirement. Navigating these rules can make or break your retirement in a big way. The other thing is maximizing your benefits. Again, knowing the rules and understanding your benefits and making sure that you take advantage of them so that they can work throughout the remainder of your life and your spouse's life. Some of these big mistakes can be fixed and others can't. So this is an area where there seems to be a lot of regret among federal employees is not understanding these rules and understanding their benefits. The third regret is not having a long-term tax plan. We often get focused on this year's taxes and how we can save taxes in this year, and we forget about taxes later on in life. We forget what taxes might look like in retirement. One common misconception is that your tax bracket goes down in retirement, and that's often not quite the case. For most federal employees, they have 3 sources of income in retirement. The first one is your pension. The next one is your TSP or investment income. And the third one is Social Security. Most of this income is taxable as ordinary income. We find that a lot of people want to continue their current lifestyle from when they were working and into retirement. If not, they're spending a little bit more money in retirement because they are traveling more, they're spending more time with family, they're doing fun things. And some of those expenditures tend to go up, which means they need more taxable income. So not having that long-term tax perspective can turn out to produce a really expensive tax bill. So if you're not quite yet retired, looking ahead into retirement to see what your tax liability is going to be, what tax bracket you're going to be in, and the taxability of your income sources. Planning ahead can go a long way in not having regret in retirement. The other thing in this topic is how is your income going to affect your Medicare premium? The more income, the more taxable income you have, the more you'll be required to pay in a Medicare premium. And that kind of sneaks up on people. They have all that taxable income coming in. And once they reach age 65, they enroll in Medicare Part B, and it's much more expensive than they were anticipating. Kind of going along the lines of Medicare and healthcare, that's the fourth big regret. It's healthcare planning. As a federal employee, you have fantastic health benefits, especially from the outside looking in. FEHB is great. And one of the big regrets that we're seeing is choosing the right healthcare plan for you and maintaining it into retirement. There are some big mistakes that can be made that can make you ineligible to keep healthcare into retirement, or making your surviving spouse ineligible to keep healthcare for the remainder of their life. So what's your plan for healthcare and retirement, and what's the right plan for you? The right plan for you might not be the one with the lowest deductible. That's often the one that we're drawn to because it looks really good on paper, but having a lower deductible makes you ineligible for an HSA. I've talked to a lot of federal employees who are approaching retirement or they're now into retirement. They just learned about HSAs. This is a health savings account. This works kind of like, call it a super Roth IRA. The contributions that you make to it are tax deductible. There's a tax savings in the year that you make the contribution. And when you take money out, if that money is used for qualified medical expenses, that money comes out tax-free, kind of like a Roth IRA. There's some other cool strategies around HSAs, but if you don't have the right plan, you're not eligible for an HSA. And this is one big regret. So not saying that the low deductible plan is bad or that a high deductible plan is bad either, but picking the right healthcare plan that meets your needs and that meets your needs into retirement can make or break your retirement. The fifth most common mistake that we see is estate planning. This is a big one that gets overlooked and often forgotten because federal employees have such great benefits. It almost feels comprehensive, like they have all of their bases covered. You have a really great plan for income in retirement. We talked about that a little bit already between your pension, TSP, and Social Security. Your income is usually covered. You have fantastic health benefits through FEHB. You even have life insurance. And some federal employees, if they got in a while ago, they have long-term care insurance as well. But estate planning is one that's often forgotten. We want to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row and have all the required documents. At a minimum, we should be looking and considering these three documents: a will, durable power of attorney, and an advanced healthcare directive. And that's 3 for you and 3 for your spouse, potentially 6 documents. The other document to consider is a trust. Do you need a trust? What are the pros and cons of a trust? It's something to consider going into retirement. Losing a spouse or losing a parent is never easy. The last thing we want to do is make it an estate planning logistical nightmare. If we don't have these documents, if we don't have all of our ducks in a row, then it just makes that time even harder for our survivors. So this regret is one that we see from the survivor, right? I've sat across the table from many widows and widowers, and I can't tell you how many times they've told us, I wish that we had gotten these documents in place years ago. Not putting this off to the last minute is very important. So I know we covered a lot of topics and kind of a high-level overview. If you'd like to dig into these topics a little bit more and see how they affect you, click the link below to go to our website and schedule a consultation with one of our federal employee benefits specialists. Until next time, happy planning.